Great, the restream is working. That's good news. Well, welcome to the 5D Academy of Higher Consciousness. I'm Zarathustra, broadcasting live from Tulum, Mexico. Um, Today, we're going to be talking about why do we have this need for being confirmed. One of our participants brought this up. Is that right, Andreas? Uh, some sort of need that we need to be seen and we need to be confirmed. Am I correct?
That's the point, yes.
Right, that's the point, basically. And well, it's interesting if you have that, if you ask this question of anybody who's in front of the camera and is regularly in front of the camera, um, obviously any kind of public figure in whatever way, and whether spiritual, political, or academical, whatever it is, and they're comfortable to be in front of the camera, and there is some sense in them that they like to be received, and I mean, and we can interpret it in different ways. So, but we'll get to the root cause of it, because it everything varies, but it all funnels down to very, very first imprint that we have from the time we were born. So once we understand this part of it, uh, and you have to understand, I'm talking about third dimension. I'm talking about duality. I'm not talking about non-dual right now. This conversation we're having is not referring to anyone or any entity who has submerged their consciousness in fifth dimensional consciousness. We're talking about third dimension. We're talking about the relative reality, the world that appears to be real, which we're in it right now, the world that we get very involved with, and we're talking about one of our human conditionings. That's what we're referring to. I'm not talking about non-duality right now. So I just want to make sure it's clear, because we can have another topic another day, and I'll be talking about something that contradicts this conversation. And someone might come to me and tell me, well, the other day you were saying this, now you're saying something completely opposite of it. So as long as we're clear about it, we're talking about pretty much, in the relative reality, in this world that appears to be real. Okay, so we're clear about that part of it. The world that appears to be real, and you and I are in it as these characters that have this sense of personal doership. We have this sense like we're single entities separated from the source, and we have our own free will, and we can decide what to do, where to go, and etc. That's what we're referring to. So in this scenario, is what happens is when the child is born, and the child's connection to anything outside of itself is to their parents, if there are parents. I'm talking about, let's say, um, um, a hypothetical situation, because these days a lot of children are being born to single parents. But let's say there are parents, and you're a child, you're born, you can't speak, you cannot say you're hot, you're cold, you're hungry, you need to be hugged, you need to be taken to the bathroom. So you have, uh, you cannot communicate at all except crying. And your entire world and understanding is to these two figures, that is mom and dad. And mom and dad are your connection to your survivor. So surviving. So they have to provide you with warmth, with milk, changing you all the time, holding you, taking care of you. And this thing goes on for months before you can even say anything. So, since typically, again, this is, I'm talking about a typical situation. Typically, dad or one of the parents has to go to work. Okay, let's just talk about a traditional situation and not get into women's equality or women movement for social equality. Let's put that away. Let's just use a traditional way. Is that the dad goes to work and making a living, and mom's at home, and there is going, especially in these days, today's world, which is we're no longer living tribal, and we're not living in a village, so there's no supports for majority of families. um, Maybe they have a grandma or grandpa nearby or in the same town, or maybe they have some family in the same town, but majority are, especially in the Western world, majority of couples, they're just a single unit. And so dad goes to work and mom is left out with one child or two children. So there's going to be moments that the mom is going to have to leave the child and go take a shower, go to the toilet, go, the doorbell goes off and she needs to go pick up something from Amazon, was delivered, or whatever. Or she takes a nap. She cannot 24 hours a day hold the baby and have the baby attached to her body. So, and then what happens, there are moments that, you put the child to sleep, parents sleeping, baby wakes up, and there's nobody there. Baby's in a dark room and scared, and feels left out. And there's going to be other moments, like so many different scenarios in the first few months of the child life, that something happened, the child is left out. Let's say the child is in its crib and mom's cooking and dad's working. So what happens is the very first imprint of most children on the planet, I would say 99.9%, is that they've been abandoned, they've been left out. They wake up in the middle of the night and nobody's there. Or they wake up in the afternoon and nobody's there. They're crying or they're not crying, but they're completely left out in their psyche. So because, no one can be hanging around the child in today's world 24 hours a day, so catering to the child from, around the clock, it's almost impossible. So the first imprint, which is put on the child's psyche, is abandonment by the people that the child loves. And what happens is eventually this turns to hate. So, in some way, we all hate our parents, whether we're conscious of it or we're not. But we try to cover it up through guilt because we feel guilty. You know, most people, they feel guilty saying that I hate my parents. But in a deeper level, we hate our parents because we've been abandoned by them at a time that we needed them the most in our psyche. So, this is the root cause of pretty much every decision you make in the future, in your life. That's why we have such an amazing and powerful fear of being left out. Like when you're the last kid in school, you're in school and they come and pick up, you're 7, 8, 9 years old. All parents come and pick up their kids, and somehow your parents haven't been there yet. Your mom hasn't arrived yet, and you're last kid. Have you ever had that feeling? Like everyone's gone and you're left out. So, or when you're left out, you're alone in your apartment. And most people need to create some kind of distraction, either playing music or having a cat or a dog. A lot of people need to have a lot of kids, a lot of pets around them, uh, or they need to be engaged with their phone, get onto social media. Somehow, there's a very big fear of what? Being left out, being quiet, being in silence, all by yourself. Because what it does, it triggers this old imprint from your childhood, from very early time, that being left out in that silence is equal fear and being abandoned. I want you to sit with this for a moment. Just reflect on this before I continue. Just sit with it. This weird feeling that you're left out. And if you notice it, you can see it with, let's say, when I was in Lucknow, I was with Master Papaji, and maybe he would pay attention. He had his favorites, and he was paying attention to his favorites. I was never one of his favorites. So naturally, this jealousy would come out, or this, or maybe he would invite a group of his favorites to go to the lake together, and I wasn't included. So it would just trigger these abandonment issues, or being left out in having a house. That this I noticed, like sometimes when I owned my own home in Sedona, Arizona, and I was dating somebody, my woman of the time, my love at the time, and she brought it up to me, and she said, "Listen, you have a hard time being alone by yourself. The moment you're alone, you get nervous and you need to call one of your friends or go out for a hike or go out for a drink. You have to have people around you because you can't just hang in there by yourself." And I realized she's right, that I can't just hang in there into emptiness on my own. So, because I never thought about it, because this weird feeling starts taking over when that happens. And also, now still I'm talking about, everything I'm talking about is happening in third dimension. I'm talking about the world that appears to be real. This is not a non-dual conversation. So this is a talk about the world of duality. So, and in the world of duality, yes, some of us basically have a strong desire to be seen. We need this affirmation from the outside. We identify part of our identity is based on look at me, look at me, look what I've accomplished, look at me, how great of a teacher I am, look at what a beautiful body I have, look at my hair, look at my eyes, um, look at me, how great of a basketball player I am, what a great musician I am. And we may be doing it in a different way, and it could be in a very passive, aggressive or passive way of acting like we're humble, but we want attention. So, and or wanting to be on the stage, being in front of the camera, or trying to get this attention could be, it's possible trying to get this attention negatively by becoming a murderer, or by doing some kind of crime, or going the other way, and still wanting to get the attention, still wanting to be on the newspaper, wanting to be the talk of town by being the fool or whatever it is. But there is a need for it, and and it needs to be satisfied. And then it can just go in a dark side, it could be into the light. Either or, still the need is there. And then simultaneously, we have the opposite. We have the type that is trying to hide out and doesn't like to be in public eye, doesn't want to be on the stage, doesn't want to give a talk, doesn't want to give a, you know, um, they get very nervous, and they need to be in the background. Ultimately, from a different angle, if we look at it, so this is looking at it from human level. But from another angle, if we look at it, it's also, in the meantime, there's nothing wrong with it, because someone has to be on the stage, somebody has to be the reporter, somebody has to be the leader, somebody has to uh, be the speaker of the house, and that's also needed in this world. So there's nothing wrong with that either. And as we mentioned, in this world of duality, that both sides come together in a dual world, both characters are simultaneously created by the same source, by the same God, by the same creator. He's created this part and created that part. Those who have the need to be on the stage, and those who are, they don't want to have anything to do with being on the stage. And they're both just fine. So now we're coming to, so far any questions? You can unmute yourself if you want to ask a question.
In the end, the question is, so how can we get rid of it? Because it leads us to do things that are not that come not out of our inner urge.
The well, first of all, is number one is being seen. If you see something and you're aware of this, then it's no longer is an unconscious behavior. You're aware of your needs to be seen, but once you become aware of your needs to be seen, then you may, as we talked about it, now I'm going to the non-dual world. Now I'm going to discuss this from this other angle. Is number one, you don't have any free will in these teachings. So there's nothing you can do about it. Because it's not even you doing it. It's the source, and it's the absolute, which is expressing itself as Andreas and wants to be seen. So it's an expression of God. But if there is anything to do about it, is merely becoming aware of it, becoming aware of this need to be seen. And once you become aware of it, then it's no longer unconscious. It's like, let's say, I have it, let's say I'm addicted to cigarettes. I can't stop smoking, and no matter how much I try, I can't. But if I become aware of my cigarette addiction, then it's no longer an addiction because I am aware of it. Does this making any sense to anybody? Like I am aware of a number of different addictions or behaviors that I have that I don't like. If I could change them, I would like to change them right away. There's nothing I can do about them, but they're there. And I've tried to change them and get rid of them, but I can't. It just doesn't happen. But there's awareness of it. I'm aware of them. And once I'm aware of them, they are no longer an unconscious behavior. They're being observed. Yet the behavior continues. So as long as you're aware of this need, it doesn't have any power over you. Because
you have to speak louder, Anita. Now Anita tries to talk to you.
Yeah, I can't hear you because of the volume.
It's high. My volume, I can't make it higher.
Oh, okay. Now I can hear you.
Can you hear? I'm very close to the screen. Okay. What is the consequence? If you're aware of your behavior, you tell, you're aware of the behavior. It's not inconscient. But what Andreas also want to point out, we are suffering from the behavior, and we want to reduce that, or we want to get rid of it. To be aware is one thing.
Okay.
Did you understand me?
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Of course I understand you. So you want to know how we get rid of it, correct?
Yes. How to work on it or whatever.
Well, whatever unconscious behavior you have had in the past, and you worked on it, Did you get rid of any of your unconscious behaviors? Or any of the behaviors you didn't like? Were you able to get rid of them?
I'm also not able to get rid of the conscious behaviors. The same.
Right, but I'm just asking, like, certain behavior we don't like, and we're trying to get rid of it. Has anyone been able to get rid of it? I'm curious. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but let's say you have a certain behavior and you've been working on it for a number of years to get rid of it. Were you able to get rid of it?
Yes.
Okay, how did you?
Yes, I stopped using drugs and smoke.
Uh-huh. Okay. After how long? How long did you work on it?
Oh, more than 20 years.
So for 20 years, you worked on it to get rid of your habit of smoking and doing drugs, correct?
Yes.
So 20 years after, you were able to get rid of it. Okay. And anyone else? Anything else?
But the thing is also, it's like, it's not present all the time. So it is like, it kind of appears and then it disappears and then something new appears. And it is like I'm present with what is appearing. And if I don't get too engaged and like get sucked into it, if I can, then it doesn't, like, I don't get that identified with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a little bit like the other day I got very, very sick and I actually needed to vomit, and I haven't done that for many, many, many years. And and then I was lying in my bed and I was thinking, oh my God, am I going to die? I was really thinking that. And I was like, right now, there's nothing I can do about this. It's just to be present with what is. And sometimes it's like that also, like with relationship, or if something happens, it is like it's something that is coming and is present right now. And it's an opportunity to heal this that is coming up. And I can stay or I can leave, or sometimes it is just to surrender to what is. And I was thinking a little bit, you said that like when we grow up with our parents, for me, a big thing has also been like my siblings. And I was like the youngest for 8 years. And my older siblings, they were always the more clever than me and stronger and faster, always, right? And I was the little one, and it was almost like, hey, who are you who come here? We were here before you, and go and sit on the floor. And sometimes this gets like triggered in me, and it's like, I just want to be part of this family. And then sometimes it is like, oh, it's so nice to be here. And then all of a sudden there is someone who is like, who are you? I'm bigger than you. I'm more wise, and I'm older, and I've been here before you, and I knew this person before you. And it's all, I get like afraid, like now they want to kick me out. Right. So I got like this fear of like, I just want to be belong here. I just want to be part of this family. I mean, it's like, are my sisters and brothers going to turn against me? But I'm aware of this pattern, and I'm aware when this fear is coming up. And then when I'm aware of that, I know that the fear doesn't have a grip on me. Yes, it can feel uncomfortable in my body, and maybe my thoughts spin out and I get emotional about it. But I kind of accept it, and I also see that everyone is a reflection of me. I see that, I recognize that, and I see that it's like, yeah, it's kind of okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then also sometimes there's someone who's bugging me, and I think that, oh, it's so irritating that they are here. But I never try to kick someone out. Except my ex-boyfriends. But so most of the time I leave the group because, yeah, I don't want to be there if it's like it takes like it gets to a limit, and then I don't want to stay there. Then it's like, okay, I find a new group.
Right.
Where it's nice to be, where I feel that I'm like part of the group. Yeah. And also I recognize that everyone wants to belong. Everyone wants to be included. And also it is like, we are different. We want different things. You know, some people, they like rock and roll, some they like reggae, and, you know, we want things to be our way. Yeah, so we don't want things to be disturbed. Someone are perfectionists and some are messy and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I had a need to talk today, right?
Well, that's good. So, all right. So now let's go a little bit deeper. And who is it that wants to be seen? Who is this person who's being annoyed? Who's getting annoyed? Who is it that has this very strong desire for being seen?
It is like this, like human part of us. It's like our personality or our identity, or
Okay, you said it.
maybe our ego, you know, what we call it, right?
Yeah. Cool. So there's this sense of I am separated. There's this me, this person that wants to be seen. This me. I am someone separated from everything else. Then I have this really desire to be seen. So if we just, now we're going to non-dual conversation, we're going into the fifth dimensional consciousness, is that there is still somebody out here that has this need or desires to have attention to them. So, I mean, first of all, Andreas, I got to share this with you that I never got the feeling, never ever, like you're the kind of a person who needs the attention. I mean, if anybody in this couple, beautiful couple, it's Susanna who wants the attention more than anyone else. And I always get the feeling like she overpower you. And so I'm surprised that you're bringing this up, because you're very just chilled and you're in the backstage. So
Yeah, but sometimes there is not enough room for me. Sometimes
right.
when he's nearby.
Yeah, I think a lot of times there isn't enough room for you. Not sometimes, most of the time. So I don't think you should just try to get rid of this other part of you who wants to get seen, because then there's not going to be anything left there.
No, that was God's will.
Well, it's all God's will. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's all
Oh,
God's will. But it's well, it's nice that you brought this topic up, but I don't think you have a problem with that. I think, if anything, you should be seen more often. That's the way I see it. But in the same time, if you all want me to get more analyze this and go deeper, is it is the ego. It's
Yep.
the I thought, this sense of separation. That's where it goes to. If you keep going deeper inside, you always come to that. Basically, it comes to me. I want to be seen. Me. And then the next question is, who is me? Who am I? Who is it that needs to be seen? Then you have to investigate that. Who am I? Who is it that needs to be seen? When you ask, if you really get very honest and you ask this question, means your attention is turned inwards. Who is it that wants to be seen? And then there's this guy, this girl comes and says, me. And then you have to question its authenticity. Who is this me? And if you dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and you really stay true with it and not give it any room to get away and slip away from you, then you just have to face that. What's in there? Is there anyone there, really? Is there a person there? And of course, in the case of Ramana Maharshi or Punjaji or Nisargadatta or Ramesh or Robert Adams, they all went and discovered that there was nobody there. There was nothing, no one. And no one doesn't care if it's being seen or not, because there's no one there. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is all your desires are God's desires. It's the same God who wants to be seen. It's the same God who doesn't want to be seen. It's the same God who's going to come and act as Charles Manson, or acts as, I don't know, Trump, and is the same God who's going to come and act as Mother Teresa or Christ, or whomever we hold dear and we hold them in the level of a saint. It's the same one. So if you're desiring at times to be seen and you're aware of it, there's nothing wrong with it, because there's an awareness there. And that desire is being expressed by God. I like to be seen. I enjoy it when I'm being seen. I enjoy it when I get attention. I enjoy it when people come to me and they treat me like a wise one and asking me questions. And in a way, it helps me go back into the best part of myself. But in the meantime, the awareness is there. The desire is there. The sense of importance shows up. and I can see a part of me is being very fulfilled and really like loving it, but in the same time I also see the rest of it. So if you can do that, then there's nothing, I mean, there's no right or wrong, but we're just using right and wrong in a way of explaining things. But if you can do that and be aware of it, then there's nothing wrong with it. Because ultimately, who are you being seen by? It's your own self. Everybody else is yourself. So the self wants to be seen by the self. This is not the ego, it's just the self. I probably confused you because I went back.
I just have to add something. I just have to say, my siblings, my sisters and me, I only have one brother. They are absolutely amazing too. Like absolutely, absolutely, absolutely amazing. And oh my God, I love them so much. So it's not that they have like,
I think we all understand this was the childhood experience at the time. So, and we all have gone through our own struggles because, I remember my sister was always making fun of me when I was in school because I kept failing my courses in high school. And not only I had to go to school for 9 months, and then I had to have a private tutor for another 3 months to pass the courses I couldn't pass during the academic year. So pretty much from grade 7 to 12, I was pretty much in school for 6 years. Actually, I failed the last year. So 7 years. And she was always making fun of me. So at that time, you get hurt because you're a child. But now when I look at it, it was just a part of the functioning of consciousness. Things were just, she didn't have a choice of making fun of me, and I didn't have a choice of getting hurt. It was all a part of the lila. And of course, I learned a lot of great things from her. She was a great teacher. She taught me a lot, a lot. So yeah, no, we're not going to be judging your brothers, sisters, because this is like 30 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever, 40 years ago, whenever years ago. We understand. But also in the same time, the stuff that's been inflicted, the pain or what kind of trauma or damages that's been inflicted on us during our childhood was also a part of the deal to form us to become who we are today. This was the way I look at it. In a way, I look at it, this is like a contract. I had these contracts signed up before I came to this life that I'm going to be born in this family. I'm going to have these brothers, sisters. I'm going to look like this. This is my economy, finances, and these are the challenges I have to go through in this life. It's like as if... Go ahead.
May I ask a question?
Yes, of course, please.
Yeah, all those various little traumas, I find it difficult to overcome, and from time to time they resurface, and then I relive the trauma. when something reminds me of it. And I've been searching for ways to to mitigate that trauma. Or do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, yes, of course. It all depends in this business of consciousness, um, David. Everything is from where you're looking at stuff. So right now you're looking at it from where you're sitting. Same as if you get up from where you are and go change your position. Let's say you're looking at your room right now. From where you're sitting, you're looking at the camera, and behind the camera, there's some stuff that I can't see. The only part I can see is your face and what's behind you. So that's all I can see. And the same thing with our own situation is the expansion of human consciousness and elevating to a different understanding is simply a change in our perspective, how we look at stuff. So if I look at things from a different angle, all of a sudden everything changes. Now, how is this going to benefit you, and what does it mean? What it means is you're looking at it as, or we all, not just you, all of us, and looking at it as a trauma. So I've been traumatized. This happened, that happened, and which we all have gone through it, and we all have our own fair share of whatever has happened to us by our parents or our siblings, teachers, and things like that. And so that's one way of looking at it, that like I was a victim and this and that happened to me. Now, let's say if I change my point of view, and I changed my point of view that before I was born, this is just a hypothetical situation. I'm not saying exactly this is the way it is, because I really don't know where I was before I was born, and where am I gonna go after I die. So I don't have any recollection of either of it or any knowledge of it. These are all just concepts. But let's say before I was born in this life, hypothetically, according on my concept, is that you have a meeting with the Ishwari. You have a meeting with God. And God is going to write a script for you. That, okay, you're going to go back to life. You're going to be born in this family. You're going to look like this. These are the health issues you're going to challenge. These are the emotional issues you're going to have to deal with. And da-di. And you agree to it. You sign it, and you are dropped in, and you go back into a bodysuit. And you're going to have to go through these experiences on this life. So if you look at it from that point of view, now we're shifted the way we're looking at it. Then you're no longer a victim. You're a victor. Because with each trauma that someone has caused you, they agreed on this contract that they're going to appear in your life to play the role. The role was to inflict this trauma on you. And your role was to be traumatized. So they paid their role and you paid your role. Simply because you have to have this particular experience. And this particular experience is going to make you become more sensitive and more human and more compassionate to other human beings all over the world that are experiencing this kind of trauma. Otherwise, you would never know.
So would you say that every time these memories, traumatized memories are activated, I kind of say to myself, what can I learn from this?
Yeah.
So I try to learn it as like it's a lesson. What is the lesson that I'm supposed to learn? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's one way. That's one way of looking at it. And one way is to learn, which I'm sure by now you've already learned the lessons you had to learn. So I feel like you've spent enough time figuring out the lessons that you had to learn. Or if not, yeah, you can look at it and say, great, thank you, brother. Thank you, uncle, for beating me up or raping me or whatever it was. As painful as it was, I did get the listen. I appreciate it. Thank you. Shaking hands. See you never. I don't have to see you ever again, but I'm not a victim. I, I refuse to be a victim. There was something I had to experience to become who I am. Now, yes, you hear a song or something happens, it triggers the emotion and the emotion arises. And when the emotion rises, it's very powerful. There's pain and there's anger or whatever it comes with it. I get it. So what do I do with that? Okay. So what you can do in that point is, besides the intellectual part of it, that intellectually we agreed on when that emotion comes, you just shift the way you're looking at it and you say, okay, I'm not a victim. This had to happen. I had to learn this. Now consciousness is here. So already this event has lost its power. It's not as strong as before because now you have tools. But we're going to go further than that. And I'm going to offer you another tool. Is what you do is, let's say a sense of anger comes for you, or a sense of despair comes for you. Whatever, I don't know when this experience of traumas come, what kind of feeling comes with it. I don't know that, but it doesn't matter. I don't have to know it because there is a formula how you can deal with it. And what you do is you simply, when it rises, you simply tell yourself that anger is here, or whatever. You remember that incident, somebody did something to you, inappropriately touched you, or you were unjustly beaten up by your mom because you had an angry mom and she would just come and unload her anger on you. And whatever the story, you don't have to tell me, or if you don't feel like it. So whatever story it is, because we all have the same story. So this emotion comes up, or you've been betrayed, and it just brings a lot of emotions for you. So instead of typically we're trying to resist the emotion. Or let's say I'm going to take a lorazepam or a Xanax, or I'm going to drink some wine, or smoke a couple of cigarettes, or eat some ice cream or pizza or whatever, to get away from it, not to feel it. But I invite you to simply, when it arises, acknowledge the emotion. Like anger is here, and stay in it for a few seconds. Acknowledge the emotion is there, and you stay in the emotion, but you're aware of it. by acknowledging it, it's here. And you're not trying to resist it, and you're not trying to hug it. You're simply acknowledging the presence of a powerful emotion that it's really affecting your nervous system. And you just look at it. And it doesn't have any power anymore because it's just, because you're not resisting it, you're not getting engaged with it, you're not analyzing it, it loses its power and it just goes away. And a few seconds or 10 seconds or half an hour after, it's gone. Because it's happening in your memory. It has nothing to do with the present time. Something has happened 20, 30, 40 years ago, and it's just is in your memory. It has no existence except in your memory. Is it making any sense, David?
Yes, I'm getting a clearer idea.
Right.
Yeah, I like your explanation.
Yeah, you just acknowledge it. Let's say jealousy comes, or depression. You wake up in the morning, you feel depressed. Typically, what we do is I tell myself, oh, I'm depressed. I feel really depressed. And it's a very powerful emotion because I have dealt with it with a number of years. It's so big, it's like a huge storm, and it's almost impossible to deal with it. It's so powerful. So what do? I mean, let's say a huge storm comes. Where are you located? What state are you in? What country are you in?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Right. Okay. So let's say a huge storm comes. What are you going to do with this storm? You can't command it to go away. You can't just say it doesn't exist. And it's raining, it's pouring like crazy. What are you going to do? You're just going to have to hide from it, go inside, and let the storm to go by. Because it's bigger than you and I. But would it last? No storm ever lasts forever. They all have a beginning and they have an end. And the same thing. All these emotions, no matter how mighty they are, how powerful they are, if you simply acknowledge their presence, that they're here, and you look at them, they're just going to go away because they cannot affect the presence. They cannot affect the watcher, the one who's here, the Buddha who's watching. You're still and you're silent and you're just watching. You're not getting identified with it. You're simply allowing it to come and you're allowing it to go. I mean, you don't even have a choice, but you're not getting involved with it. There's no identification. Simply, there's an awareness of it. And you have to feel it, of course. But then they have no power. When you get into a practice like that, you will find yourself becoming more free and more free from any emotions. You feel them. This is not about not feeling the emotion. This teaching, this wisdom is opposite of positive thinking, positive visualization. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about positive thinking. Positive thinking, negative thinking is the same shit. It's still thinking. Positive visualization or negative visualization, it's still the mind. I'm talking about presence, of simply being here, present and non-sticky, not like being a Teflon, brand new Teflon pan. Nothing sticks to you. They can cook things on you, but nothing sticks to you. That means just staying in the witness. Staying in a state of witness. It's 1 o'clock, so we're almost at the end of our academy.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us. Miss Elijah, let's keep answering your question for next week because we're almost finished. Unless it's a quick one. If there's something you need to really express, if it's a quick one, express it.
Okay, I will do it quick. I was just thinking about like there has been like we have read the book, all the chapters up until now, and maybe it was like a lot of traumas in the book up until now, but we don't know what's coming. Maybe we have an agreement to bump into a group that is really amazing and our life transforms totally, or we meet a powerful healer or whatever. And I'm absolutely so grateful for what you've done for me, Zarathustra, and my life is totally transformed. And there was a long period where I was totally traumatized. And now I'm very, 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 very happy. And yes, I still have challenges, but I'm so happy. And there's a lot of patterns that have changed in my life. So I'm very, very, very grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good to hear.
And I had like many years that I was hearing, I don't want to live, I just want to die, I don't want to live, I don't want to live, I don't want to live. And then what I did like a ceremony for 3.5 months, I think. I was praying for help every day. And then when 3.5 months was gone, nothing had changed. And I was like, okay, now I've done this for 3.5 months. I just let go of it. And then some weeks later, all of a sudden I realized, I haven't been thinking about that I don't want to die. Okay, life is still a little bit hard, but I don't want to die. Like, whoa, this is a miracle. And then slowly, it went into like, my life just became better and better and better and better. And it's still becoming just better and better and better and better. And oh, I feel so much love. I do that. I feel so much love for myself and everybody. And oh, I'm so grateful to be alive. It's so wonderful to be alive. And yes, it is challenging sometimes. And sometimes I have pain and sometimes I get sick, but that too will pass. And, you know, I'm focusing on being present with what is. And then there's rain and then there's sunshine. And yeah, I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I love you, all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, I'd like to thank you also. I want to understand about the five dimensions. If you take a few minutes just to mention, explain that.
Yeah, that we're gonna have to leave it for next week because basically I try to keep the academy for 1 hour. So so we can do that next week. I'm more than happy to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. What part of Los Angeles do you reside?
Pasadena.
Pasadena. Great. So, for those of you who are viewing this program on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, in order to communicate with me directly on our Academy days, which is every Thursday, I recommend that you join us through my website and join the Academy, 5D Academy of Higher Consciousness. This is a free service that I offer. And I must say, this coming February is our 10th annual it's our 10th year. After 10, we've been doing this for 10 years, miraculously, through the will of God. It's been happening. We've had a lot of ups and downs, and different things happen, but we've been pretty much consistent, with the exception of the time I go on tours.
That is amazing.
That's, yeah, it is. I'm excited that we're hitting it. So it's February. Maybe we do.
Thank you so much, Zarathustra.
Oh, you're welcome to it. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah.
Yeah. A copy of this broadcast will be emailed to you. Also, it's going to be posted all over. My website is zarathustra.tv. If you want to write to me, you can write to me on info@zarathustra.tv. I look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Namaste.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for seeing you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. And I love to see